GLAM, Los Angeles.
Hi, Kirby. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Okay, we are super excited because we have Chelsea Riggs here. She is the founding member and CEO of Amika, which is, if you listen to the podcast, one of our favorite hair care brands. It's very fun, accessible, affordable, it's luxurious, and it's rewriting the narrative of professional hair industry. So throughout Chelsea's tenure, you've done so much. You've built the brand's distribution from the ground up by focusing on supporting the hairstylist community, which I think we know is so important. You've expanded Amika's presence in Sephora over the past 10 years into all the doors. Huge. You have a robust DTC business that contributes over 25% of revenue. And under your leadership, you've seen 10 times the revenue growth for Amika, which is amazing. We could go on and on and on, but we're so happy to have you here at Los Angeles.
I'm excited to do this.
So one of the reasons that I wanted Chelsea to come on is when she was pitched to us, it was like, she's young.
Yeah.
She's young.
We're all young, aren't we?
Yeah, we're all in our 30s, right?
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, it's rare to see someone at your level, CEO, our age. So we tip our hat to you.
An inspiration.
Thank
Very, very inspirational. And I had the opportunity to have breakfast with you a couple of months ago, and I loved our conversation because you were bringing up things that I think a lot of people listening to this podcast may not consider when it comes to buying beauty products, when it comes to greenwashing, when it comes to why we may not be seeing certain innovations, why we may be seeing certain innovations. But we also have you on because you and the brand generously let our Glamgelinos test a brand new product. So this launched in December. It's the lightweight hairstyling oil, the Superfruit Star lightweight hairstyling oil. So Glam's listening to this now. If you were in the testing group, you've already tested it, you've already left your reviews, you already love it, you've already talked about it in the Slack. Yeah. But for those of you that weren't in the testing group, you're going to learn about this a lot more today. But we also like to tell the story about the brands and why we love the brands so much. So Chelsea, thanks for coming on and being with us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Of course. Okay. So before we get into the business side of things, let's talk about what's on your glowing, gorgeous face and hair and nails and all the things.
Oh my gosh. Well, we don't want to take the whole podcast doing this. And because I work in the industry, I get lots of products, as you do as well. Lately, I've been loving this product. Actually, I went back to Dr. Dennis Gross. I hadn't used this brand in a while. Yeah. It was probably one of the OG skincare brands that I cut my teeth on. And then I went to a spa recently, and they put this product. I'm like, what is that? She's like, oh, I'll show it to you when we go back outside. And it's called Dewy Deep. I have very dry skin. I live in New York. And I was in Arizona, so my skin was just so dry. And I'm obsessed with it. I wear that at night. I also, anything that says dewy, I'm pretty much sold.
That's the same.
I have so many moisturizers. The Tatcha Dewy one is also really great.
Wow.
Speaking my language.
Sister language over here.
Skin sisters.
Yeah. Love that one. I always go back to that. What else do we have? Glossier Stretch Concealer. My mom was actually in the bathroom with me getting ready recently, and she's like, what is that? Let me try. And then she went out and bought it. I'm like, it's unlike any concealer I found because it doesn't like sink into lines and it's just like really like moisturizing. So I love that. Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Filter. And there's this product from YSL that I think is discontinued. Luckily, it's lasted me a long time, but I love it. It's a powder. It's their like Touche Eclat. I never know how to say that, but it's a powder version of it. It's like called 3D Glow or something. I looked at the back of it. And I love that because I just like dust that all over and it kind of just blurs and highlights and does all that stuff at the same time.
Because your skin looks glowy, but you have a powder on. I love that.
Yeah, because it's so dry, so I gotta like layer all the things to like make it fake the glow.
Lip glossy, super pretty.
Oh, love this. It's from Edam.
Okay, so
yeah, we love them.
It's so good. They have a couple of different colors. This was like kind of like a berry color. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but
really
it's the
pretty.
like Choo Choo lip balm. It's amazing because it actually hydrates your lips. I find so many of them. They're like pretty for a while, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I need to reapply. Yeah. And this actually stays on for a long time.
One of these days, I'm going to get on my soapbox and talk about how I feel like a lot of the lip products either slip on the lips or they're so gooey.
Yeah,
and
so sticky.
People are lying to us when they say, this is so slick, this is so moisturizing. I'm like, I feel like I have glue on my lips.
Yeah,
90%
it's almost
of the
like
time.
they just make it for the Instagram video because it looks really pretty, or like pretty coming out of the tube, and then like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no,
I
we
don't
need
think
it
this
to
actually
be-
looks pretty coming out of like the packaging is beautiful. It's really thick. So when you like squeeze it out, it's not like this like beautiful like
Right.
flowy, but it actually does. It doesn't feel like super sticky.
No, it doesn't
really
look
pretty.
sticky. It
And
looks
it's
very,
very
very glossy.
pigmented too.
Yeah.
This is something that, you know, I think sets Amika apart from other brands, is that you guys don't have like a founder story on the site. And we know that, like, especially now, like we did BeautyCon, and you know, the founder story was like so prevalent, right? But you guys are so successful without that. The reason being is that it's very focused on product, right? Amika is the #1 hair care brand on Sephora and the #5 prestige brand in America, but don't have a founder story. So why do you think Amika continues to flourish without a face?
It's a good question. No one's actually asked me that before. So there's a few reasons. One, I think all the top hair brands in the US, if we're looking at, you know, data in terms of top selling brands, the majority of them, if any of them, don't have a founder. So
yeah, you're right.
I think that's interesting with hair, and that could be because hair is so diverse, right? It's not even just diverse when you think about texture. We think about how much hair you have, like density, and then the thickness of each strand, where you live, do you color it, do you heat set? There's just so much that really dictates the products that you should be using. And I think it's a little hard to relate one person with every single hair need, as opposed to skincare. Like, she's got amazing skin, I want that skin. Or even makeup, I think, is also a little bit more expert driven. When we started the brand, this was over 15 years ago, the landscape looked very different in beauty in general, but definitely hair care. So most of the brands were started by or headed by a celebrity, mostly like male hairdresser, right? And as consumers, it just didn't really relate to us, especially the hair care area feeling so different from other premium beauty categories. Like makeup was really fun. Like Benefit was, you know, this like super cool, cheeky brand. You just didn't really have that in hair care. So we wanted to create a brand that really resonated with us as consumers of hair products. And that's how it was kind of born. And then as the brand evolved, you know, the ethos of it is really driven by Amika means friend. I don't know if you know that. You're nodding your head yes. So it actually comes from this language called Esperanto, which was the constructed language, like at the turn of the 20th century, to unite the world under one language. Like the premise of it, we loved that. And this element of being friend is really more around community, which nobody was using that word. We weren't even using that word to describe ourselves. We wanted a brand that reflected who we were. And so we kind of created it that way. And something we say internally, not so much externally, is we think of Amika as like a social experiment, right? Like every person who's come into the brand, whether it be an employee or stylist, I've worked with so many different stylists over the years, of course, the ones that carry and use our brand every day, but different celebrity stylists, influencers, they all have put like their thumbprint in this brand. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people, because it's a relatable brand that's not around one person's vision for how things should be in the marketplace. And that's allowed us to kind of have this longevity. And of course, the products have to be amazing. If you're going to stick around for 15 years, like, you got to have really good products. And that's something that we're focused on.
I feel like the salon aspect of Amika is a part of that too. That was one of the things that you told me that I was surprised by, because I think of, you know, Amika is this bright, colorful brand, right? I've known for a decade at this point in a Sephora. I didn't realize that you had such a huge salon presence. And when we do Los Angeles Confidential, we send out these surveys and we ask people, like, how are you finding hair products? Where are you buying them from? And a large contingent are saying, I go to my hair salon or I go to my hairstylist and I use what they recommend to me. So I think that's also probably a big part of it, right?
Oh, yeah. So Amika is a salon-raised brand. We started actually selling hair tools. So before we even had hair care products. So we were one of the first to put prints on hair tools. And stylists, they just like really resonated with it, loved it. It's basically art on product, right? And what are hairstylists at the end of the day? Like, they're artists. They're also multi-hyphenate. Sometimes they're therapists as well, right?
They
like
100%
they wear a lot
are.
of hats.
Content
but
creators.
at their core, like they're creatives, they're artists, and
Yeah.
that was really a way for them to, you know, have this element of self-expression was through tools. And then once we created hair products, it just really kind of connected to the approachability that they wanted to have in their salon, this element of inclusivity, which has become a buzzword, of course, but was something that we didn't even realize, honestly, that we were doing it because we had so many people from so many varied backgrounds. And then we like picked up our heads one day and looked around at the industry and we're like, this is kind of weird, right? Like nobody else looks like we look, right? They don't have the same breadth of people and models on stage. I think stylists really saw that in our brand when you go to trade shows and see us there. So we've had a long history in the professional industry. We're the number 4 salon brand in the U.S. market, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy because you guys aren't owned by anybody, are you, Amika?
We have a private equity background.
Okay. That's what I was. That's not like a L'Oreal brand.
No.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yes.
I think too, one of the reasons why Amika is so different from other hair care brands is you do have that salon component, but then consumers at Sephora are also like, I like this and it works for me. But then you have kind of like this professional backing as well to support, saying like whatever claims you may have with the product.
It's a good point because when we had hair tools and we were creating products, we felt products in the professional space were really confusing. You could easily overuse something and then you're like, oh my God, I got to wash my hair. So we wanted something that stylists would love that really met, because you think about it, they try so many products. They're professionals. So it has to meet a really high bar to be professional quality for them to use it on clients because it's not even just on themselves. It's like, that's their business. So that was table stakes. We also wanted consumers to really relate and like feel like they understood it. So we've always tried to keep even our assortment under 50 products, which is pretty challenging to do. Because,
especially after 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. And also we're a brand that really wants to make sure we cater to all hair types, textures, and styles. So you have to have a certain breadth of product to do that. But I find, it's confusing for me as someone in the industry. There's 30 types of shampoos and conditioners. Why? And where do I even begin to start? So we really wanted to make sure that it was approachable and friendly to professionals as well as consumers.
Can we talk a little bit about the design? Just because it's like Kirby was saying, like it's something that just stands out, right? Like even like on the shelves in the salon. Was that a priority from day one to have like these beautiful designs on the tools, on the bottle? Because that really does set Amika apart from like its competitors.
So when we started in the tool category, most tools were sold in like the appliance section, and most of the packaging looked like a toaster, right? It had feature benefit, and we wanted to break the mold with that. So that pattern was part of it as well. That was also starting to be something that you could actually achieve on plastic. It's actually water printing. If you remember back in the day, you could get all these cool phone cases at the mall that really showed and expressed who you were, right? So it was kind of based on the same premise. And then when we went to build the hair care line, we couldn't come out with standard black and white or even just like a singular color. And we wanted something, we didn't have a lot of money. And we didn't have a lot of money for a long time because we've never had any sort of, financial backing or VC money. And so this had to be almost like guerrilla marketing, like cut through where people go, oh my gosh, what is that?
Right.
So that was also a goal. And we wanted it to evoke joy and, when you look at it, just like make you happy. And it's actually a copyright design. So it's little art on the packaging.
I was going to say, we don't have this question, but how did you guys even come up with, is it this version of this design, like in variants on every different product?
So it's the same kind of pattern that is like the singular pattern, which wasn't always that way. That kind of, we got to that point like around 2018 when we relaunched the packaging to really elevate it and bring it up to the quality of the products. We were using stock bottles because that's what we could afford to do in the early days.
Right.
So Vita, who's our co-founder and creative director, amazing, brilliant graphic designer, creative in every regard. She came up with the name Amika, the packaging, and she was really inspired to have something that really also reflected the story of the hero ingredient in the packaging as well, which is called sea buckthorn berry. Some people call it sea berry, and has a beautiful story. But she grew up in Eastern Europe, and it's something that she kept in, like her parents always had in the medicine cabinet. Just like we think, oh, you have a sunburn, put aloe vera on it. If you had a cut, it was like the neosporin of nature, right? So it has 40% of the berry, which is really small, is made up of omega-7.
Okay.
Which is rarely found in nature. You find it in like fish oil animal fat, and that's really great for rebuilding collagen, which makes sense, right? It's just like, neosporin for hair. So when you think about where it grows, it thrives literally anywhere. You could plant this anywhere and it will grow, but it comes from the Himalayas. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't grow exactly like this, but she always imagined, snow and then this bright orange, burst of color. And so that was an influence for kind of the packaging and the organic shapes.
That is so cool. I love hearing about packaging that's really intentional.
And it's kind of like a cereal box as well. Like if you look at it hard enough, you'll find an I love and a rabbit, which is hair. Like I love hair. And we have who we call Curly Skull in here as well, which is like, the products are so good, like even your hair will grow out of a skull.
Oh, cute.
Oh my gosh, the hair is so smart. I love that. It's kind of like hidden Mickeys at Disneyland. I love that.
Yeah, or when you're a kid and you like turn around the cereal box.
You're like trying to find Where's Waldo.
Where's Waldo, yeah.
Okay, so you touched on the sea buckthorn berry. So would you say that outside of the designs and outside of like the salon presence, that the star ingredient is something that separates Amika? I feel like we have started to see a little bit more in recent years sea buckthorn oil, but you guys have been utilizing this from the jump. So
it's been in every single product since the very beginning. We also talk about other ingredients depending on the goal of the product, right? When it comes to our strength repair or our hydration, we also think about other ingredients. So it's not just everything's based on sea buckthorn berry. Every product has it in there because it's such an amazing story. But we also have to, it's like building blocks, right? We also want to make sure we have ingredients in there that are going to provide strength, because sea buckthorn berry is not going to do that.
Okay. How do you feel about greenwashing, and what are other brands currently doing that riles you up in terms of greenwashing? And I bring this up because of B Corp and sustainability and how that relates to Amika. So maybe I guess start with like, how are you guys doing your part as a brand in terms of sustainability? And then what are other brands maybe doing that people think is great, but in the long term, it's not making much sense?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with Amika and what we're doing. So we are a B Corp company, which is definitely comes to environment, but it has 5 different factors along with it. So governance, how we also treat our employees, the workers within the pipeline of our raw materials, et cetera. So it's very, very deep. When I think about responsibility overall, it incorporates transparency, making sure people are paid a fair wage. We also think about the responsibility when it comes to emissions. So when we have conversations about what packaging we should use or what ingredients we should use, it always centers around how do we lower our carbon emissions, because we want to be net zero by 2035. And that's a really ambitious target. And the only way we're going to do that is to be more efficient. So we've been moving all of our components from overseas to being stateside.
Wow.
Which is been a huge project for a couple of years. So that's finally started to take place. We produce all of our products now in the US or in Canada. So that has allowed us to cut way down on, we were shipping empty bottles from China and from Europe to the States to produce or to fill the product. So that's a huge savings as well. So we think about everything through that lens. We do what's called an LCA, where it's like a life cycle analysis where you put, we want to put a product in this type of packaging or source it from this area versus this. And you pit the two things against each other, which is the most sustainable option when it comes to total environmental impact. And it does include the final recyclability of the product as well. And it weighs everything pretty equally. So we take that lens first and foremost. What annoys me in the industry, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Tell us.
How many hours do we have? Well, first I'd say, I think conflating natural with safe and also natural with sustainability, because there are ingredients that you cannot sustainably source, and or there are synthetic ingredients that are perfectly safe. There's plenty of vitamin C alternatives out there that also have shown to be better and more sustainable to create. So why do we need to get it from nature if we have the solution to do it in a lab? Of course, safety has to be a part of that as well, and how you're extracting those ingredients. But overall, I think people get really confused or look for natural as something of, that's a seal of it being safe. And there's a lot of things in nature that are just not safe, and also things that you shouldn't be putting on your scalp or on your skin in general, just because it's natural. So that's one thing.
I've seen all those TikToks.
Yes, natural does not mean non-toxic. There's plenty of natural ingredients.
Oh my God, that
are
word drives me
toxic.
nuts.
Like, what are you talking
A
about?
non-toxic.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that
What does it
even
even mean?
And then
Yeah.
those same people
Or
get
chemical free. You're like, what do you? Everything has chemical.
Water's a chemical,
Yeah,
babes.
water's a chemical.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Chemical free. It's like,
Yeah.
why do we care so much about that?
Yeah.
And then packaging wise, look, I think it comes back to everything is a choice, and there's nothing that's truly black and white out there. I think if brands can just be straightforward about why this is the right choice for us, for the product we're making, the brand that we are, etc. These are the downsides of the choice we're making, but there's downsides to everything, because I think people approach it and other brands approach it as like, this is the gold standard. It comes almost from like a scare tactic point of view, and that bothers me because there are two sides to each thing. So if I give you an example of that, we produce packaging from post-consumer recycled materials, aluminum, as well as plastic. We use a lot of post-consumer plastic in our shampoo bottles, most of our hair care products. When we look at that compared to glass or aluminum, primarily aluminum, there's just not enough recycled aluminum for us to actually at scale source enough for it to be better environmentally than choosing PCR plastic. Virgin aluminum is 80 times worse than plastic, and you can't, it's not a renewable source. So once you mine it, you're doing a lot of damage to the ecosystem. And it's really just competitive for us to try and find enough recycled aluminum for the types of bottles that we're making. It really depends on, certain sachets or even tubes and things can be a little bit easier. But for bottles that you would want to make sure you could keep in the shower, that didn't, cause additional issues, or you can't squeeze aluminum, right? So how are you going to get all the product out, stuff like that. So, we think about it as overall carbon emissions.
Yeah. It's just like so admirable that you guys are such a huge company and that you are a B corporation. And I feel like for a lot of brands, like maybe it's something that they strive to also be. But is it more, do you think, like the cost of what it takes to get to that point, or do you think it's more of like it's just too much work, like for brands?
I think it depends on
because for
the size of brand.
Okay, because like
I
for
was gonna
example,
say,
like the fact that you're bringing things stateside. To some people, that might be like, okay, is that going to affect the cost of like how much this hair oil is going to be? If is that like, is it going to be exponentially more expensive, or what
or will be less? I was actually going
Yes.
to bring up the tariffs thing, because it's like tariffs is like the buzzword of the past several months, right? And we're talking about how we're going to see price hikes in a lot of the beauty industry based off of where people are getting their packaging and things like that. When you were saying that, I almost felt like
You're saving money.
You're saving more money because you're bringing everything in versus.
So we've already shown that it will save money today based on the tariffs that were already put in place during the last administration, right? So there have been really high tariffs on things that have been coming from overseas, especially China. And I think there's conversation about it going even higher. So that is a big element of it as well.
So what do you think is the challenge for people? Like why aren't all beauty brands B corporations when we should be, because we are contributing so much waste as an industry?
I don't work at those brands, so it's hard for me to say why. I think resource wise, and you have to make a lot of hard decisions. There are things that you want to do because it like looks better, but I mean, we don't use acrylic anymore. We were using a lot of acrylic. PVC is so bad, horrible for the people who are producing it in the factory, et cetera. I still see brands doing PVC gift with purchase bags and things like that because they're cooler looking. They're a little bit see-through in acrylic. Yeah, it's cooler, but there are other materials that we choose to use. And I think people really get stuck on the aesthetic, cost, resources, overwhelm. They don't know where to start. I think it does come down a lot to cost, though. When I think about and that does come down to a business choice, right? Like, what is the profit and the margin that you want to make on your brand? And some companies have higher goals than others. Let's just say that. Like, we're trying to always find a balance of creating, we call affordable luxury products. So luxury formulations, we go through a lot when it comes to vetting the exact ingredients that go into it, which at times can be more expensive because they're the more sustainable or the safer option on the market. So that can be, a cost point of view, a big challenge.
I just want to clarify for listeners that Sarah's obviously asking about these larger companies, that it would make sense for them because they do perhaps have the financial means to maybe about face and like change things up. Clearly, smaller brands, they have a lot against them already.
Sure.
So, do you disagree?
I think smaller brands, if you can start from the beginning,
right,
it's actually easier because you're doing it on a smaller scale. You're setting things up that way from the beginning. You're setting your price point that way.
Yeah.
I just think it comes down to maybe the profits that they are trying to have on the brands and the products and the resources that it takes to switch it over. They might have loyalty to certain, suppliers, which is why they don't make some of those changes. And if people are still buying it at large scale, because those brands are doing very well and continuing to grow, why change?
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Okay, thank you for answering that.
That was I loved that conversation. That
Threw
was
a little
awesome.
bit of a curveball. Okay, so you had mentioned limitations to innovation probably in your conversation with Kirby when it comes to the clean space. Can you share what struggles Amika has had when certain ingredients have to be avoided?
A lot. It would be so much faster and so much easier if we could just choose the readily available products, or sometimes we'll choose 10, 15 ingredients when we're thinking about, a new product launch. And we get down to like one or two that are actually going to fit the profile that we vet all of our ingredients through. Wow. So, and you think about the time of regulatory, looking into that. We're a global brand, so we're also looking at regulatory in other countries, which Australia, Europe, Asia, they're just also different regulations. I think we're all familiar, especially I'd imagine most of your listeners know that we don't ban a lot of ingredients in the US. So it's a lot easier to just kind of create products. You can kind of say whatever you want about products in this country as well until you get big enough where people want to get a piece of that and sue you for what you're saying. But for the most part, small brands can definitely get away with even saying whatever they want about their products.
Do you feel retailers adding into that have caused issue in innovation at all? Obviously, like there's regulations in the EU. There's some regulation here in the US, but then we have these large retailers also going, okay, you can't make products with this, or this. Mm-hmm. But then I have, in my experience, seen that a lot of those decisions are made based off of consumer outcry versus actual fact. And this is where a lot of cosmetic chemists get riled up because they're like, this ingredient is perfectly fine, safe, it's actually great for you. And
without it, you're ruining all the products.
Yeah. And now
you're ruining what you love about the
product.
product.
And now we can't utilize it. So the quality goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We look at things twofold. There's safety, which can, mean a lot of different things, but safety when it comes to the way that ingredients are created. But then we're also looking at it once this gets into the waterways, like what is that doing to wildlife? And there have been, and we do everything based on scientific, factual information. There have been a number of things that have gone viral. Dimethicone, I think, went viral last year for causing hair loss. And like, this is literally in every single hair product on the market. Like, not every single one, but majority of hair products in the market. And at the end of the day, your hair is dead. And so you need something for it to feel nice, because it's not like your skin where you're gonna actually, regenerate the cells, et cetera. So you need something like that. And it's a safe ingredient. It's been proven to be safe to the environment as well. And stuff like that does, look at sulfates. Sulfates aren't going to harm you.
Right.
But, who uses sulfates anymore?
I know. Yeah. It really is. At first I was like, is it the chicken or the egg? But I really feel like it's in this case, would this be the egg? The egg is the consumer. I was telling the chicken what to be doing. I don't know.
Well, I think it's like twofold. You want people to push, right? Because then to the point of, these big companies not really changing.
Right.
People are buying it anyway, so what does it matter? You need that push, but also you can't just like believe anything you hear on the internet. And
say it again for the people. Say it again loud and proud. I am so over people literally on TikTok going, so-and-so did this, and then everybody goes crazy. And then you go look at that person's profile and that person's like, I own a dog. That's my qualification.
Right.
I have a dog. And I got on the internet and I started saying something. And that's it. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
really.
it's actually so wild.
I sometimes
Wild,
I
the claims that
even
you can
you're on social media too, right? You're on, you're like, wow. And you start to believe it
Yeah.
yourself and you're like, wait a minute. Let me like stop, research this.
Yes.
Is this real?
Now we have to get into the happy place because we're going to talk about the new Superfruit Star lightweight hair styling oil. Glamgelinos.
Such a
have
gorgeous
been
product.
testing this. It's so beautiful if you're watching. It's so gorgeous.
Also,
the packaging.
This is like a large bottle.
No,
for
it's
an oil.
huge.
Yeah.
And it
It's
smells.
huge. That's gonna last me a really long time.
And it smells so good.
I might not.
I
might
don't know.
never need to know that.
So we've had it internally for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
Before the launch. And I had someone tell me they're on their third bottle. I'm like,
Whoa! It's like addictive to use.
I know. Well, I think because it doesn't build up in the hair. So you can use it when your hair is wet. You can use it when you're dry, when you're about to style it, before you go to bed. It's like a face oil, right? It like really replenishes the lipids that are missing in the hair, which causes dryness. So yeah, you could overuse it, I think, to an extent. It really depends on the hair type you have. But yeah, you can use it in multiple parts of your routine. It's like a 3-in-1 product, so it should have protecting, also the nourishment that it's adding, preventing breakage. I love to use it before bed, so I'll do dry shampoo on my roots and then this on the ends, wrap it up in like kind of a loose little bun. Because for some reason, maybe it's because my hair is bleached and I should probably stop doing that, but my roots get really greasy and then my ends are like puffy in the morning. I'm like, but I didn't go anywhere. I just was in my bed. So I have to use something. So I either use like an overnight treatment product, like we have one called Dream Routine, or I use the oil.
Is superfruit a common term in Amika? Like, is that something you use on a bunch of different products, or is this like the first product that you're using that?
This is the first product that
Okay.
we're using it for.
Okay.
The goal being people don't know about the sea buckthorn berry, and it's because it's such a beautiful story. We wanted an opportunity to really have a moment to showcase it. And what better than the oil, which is such a beautiful part of the plant and of the berry. It's part of our signature line, which everything in our signature line is pink and orange. So those are our signature colors, and they're really universal. So that's why they're in our signature line. They're good for a variety of hair types and textures and needs.
Got it.
I love how quickly it dries down. Like you said,
It was really hard to do this clean. I will tell you that. Because most hair oils have what's called like D4 or D5. So they're like cyclopentaloxane. I can never say that word.
Wow.
It's really hard. It's a hard one. It's a mouthful. But that's been banned in Europe, and not because of a safety to humans, but more to the environment. And what people love about that ingredient, which you probably don't realize that's in a lot of products, it has this great flash off. So it leaves that really like silky feeling. You don't feel a lot of the oil that's there. So it was really challenging to get a good oil without using those ingredients.
You did that. What differentiates a styling oil from another oil?
A styling oil to me is something you can use at multiple steps of your styling routine.
Okay.
So it's not like a treatment like you think of like a leave-in conditioner. Yes, depending on your hair type, you can use a leave-in conditioner as part of your styling routine. But this you can use on wet hair, on dry hair. You can use it as a shine enhancement at the very end.
Are there any other ingredients you want to call out in this particular hair oil?
I mean, really, the star of the show is sea buckthorn.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Amazing.
and I'm gonna forget the stats. My team's gonna kill me, but I believe it's 86% less breakage, which is a clinical study. We do clinical studies on all of our products, which
Amazing.
is also really challenging to find ingredients that are gonna be clinically proven, that are good for the environment, good for people. Oh my God, it's like such an effort. And then I think it's 7 times stronger when you use this product. So you need to be keeping your hair moisturized. It's not all about protein and repair. Like you need to have a good balance of moisture and strength.
This is something that every hairstylist tells me. They're like, you don't need to always be using those specific products that'll help build protein and keratin. Like
Too much protein can be bad.
Yeah, they're like, you actually need moisture in your hair. So stop using that one product like several times a week. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, lipids and it really varies in terms of like the hair type that you have, like how many natural lipids you have in your hair. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't bleach my hair, I don't even use hair tools, I air dry, my hair is so dry, it's probably because you don't have great lipid structure in the hair. and you need something that's going to also penetrate because you could have low porosity hair. So it means all the cuticles are laying super flat and everything's like knocking, like trying to get in. So you need something with a low molecular weight that's going to actually get into the hair and give you the moisture, and oils are really good for that.
Okay, can we talk about the scent? Because that's like one of the reasons why I love Amika. What is that? What makes it smell so good?
It's a secret.
Okay.
Hey, that's y'all's prerogative.
Respect.
We respect it, but it does smell incredible.
It's grapefruit. You smell a little bit of the vanilla that's there, like that warm vanilla. So it's got a little bit of floral, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of warm vanilla. It's a nice. People have been dying for a fragrance from us, like a hair fragrance, about any fragrance.
Yeah.
I started seeing like this TikTok video of people found this random Amazon fragrance brand saying it smelled just like Amika. I was like, okay, team, I think it's time.
Yes.
I think it's time.
Hair perfumes are very
Stay tuned
popular.
for next year.
Amazing.
We're excited. So if you are interested in trying the Superfruit Star lightweight hairstyling oil for yourself, you can go on to Sephora.com and you can look up Los Angeles Confidential and you will see Glamgelino approved reviews.
The best
from
reviews
actual
out there.
people in the Slack group that you probably communicate with on a daily basis. You can get their full review, and these, of course, are very thorough reviews. We've been
testing it for a while now.
We teach everybody how to properly test these items. We teach them the proper way to review. You're not going to get, this is amazing and that's it, or this sucks and that's it. You're going to get a very thoughtful review and a lot of variety in terms of the hair types that tried this particular product. So go to Sephora.com, look up Amika, look up the Superfruit Star, and then look up just in the search bar, Los Angeles Confidential or Glamgelino. I'm sure people put
you'll find
Glamgelino.
it. You'll see them.
That's a public service, though.
Is
like
it?
actually like being a good reviewer.
No,
right?
truly.
So
That's why
thank
we
you.
did it. We want people to
Yeah.
be good reviewers.
Yeah.
A little star students, little Superfruit
It's
Star
the least we
students.
can do in this world of
Misinformation and shenanigans. Yes.
the shenanery.
Yes. Chelsea, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I loved this conversation.
Yeah, this was so
I thought it
fun.
was so informative, so useful to
Yeah.
everybody listening.
You are brilliant. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
so
your time.
brilliant.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the CEO role. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes I pinch myself. My daughter, who's 5, she's like, I don't know how we got in some conversation. And I said, mommy's the boss of like 200 people. She goes, Daddy, did you know that mommy is the boss of 200 people? He's like, 201.
No, literally. And him.
And him.
I love that. That's
that's
amazing.
really-
Where can people find you if they want to keep up with you and see what you're up to?
I'm not a huge social media. I'm like kind of camera shy, but I'm Chelsea M. Riggs on Instagram.
Okay.
And on TikTok. I haven't made a TikTok video. Maybe you're going to teach me how to make a TikTok video.
I think you should.
Kirby.
I was when we went to brunch, I was like, you should be getting on TikTok and explaining these things to people because there's just so much misinformation. I think that the way you deliver it is so smart and so savvy.
100%.
So you should definitely.
This could be your start. We'll clip it.
Yeah, we'll clip it.
Like
for
thank
you.
you to Kirby and Sarah who got me started on my influencer journey.
Amazing. And then where can people find Amika if they want to learn
At
more?
Amika on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials, and our website is loveamika.com.